All right, so we get started. Leslie, you want to call a roll and then get out of here?
Okay, Josh Altum,
Present.
Chris Pugh,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lee,
Here.
Chad Wandell,
Here.
and Linda Rhodes.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
All right, the first item up for our discussion, not discussion, but I was going to ask Josh, who brought this to our attention, if he would read this proclamation for us.
I sure will. I just first want to talk real quick about Christopher and Joshua. They're some outstanding young men. I know them from my son playing baseball with them, and they contacted me a couple months ago when the COVID stuff started happening. We'll do something for the seniors, and I asked if I'd put some on our Facebook page about washing cars. So can we talk to them real quick before I read the proclamation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, guys, you can unmute. So kind of explain to us how the thought came about and what all you did, if you don't mind.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So kind of explain to us how the thought came about that you wanted to wash cars, and then just tell us how you got all that food and stuff. So
Yes, sir. So it was a day after virtual school learning, and our 18-year-old cousin was gonna wash her car, and we were like, "Oh, can we help you?" And it was really just to get out of school. And then we liked it, and since we really had nothing to do, baseball was canceled, and the school days were a lot shorter for virtual learning, we just decided we thought of something, and it was washing cars.
well, that's awesome. I see all that food in the background. You're going to dedicate this to the senior center here in Kennedale. All right. Well, I just want to say I'm super proud of you guys, and we all are, and we need more things like this in our community right now because of what we're going through. So as the mayor said, we have a proclamation for you, and I'll read it here. Proclamation, Kennedale, Texas, Tuesday, July 21st, 2020, recognizing Joshua and Christopher Sanchez for their fundraising to benefit the senior citizens of Kennedale during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas Joshua Javier and Christopher Sebastian Sanchez are residents of the vineyards in the city of Kennedale, and whereas Joshua is the 6th grader at the World Language Institute, and Christopher is a 3rd grade at North High Mount Elementary, and whereas they both exhibited a dedication to helping others by volunteering with their church community at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church, and whereas these inspiring young men took it upon themselves to recognize and create a J&C car wash to raise money that would be used for food, games, and other items needed for the Kennedale Senior Center. And whereas Joshua and Christopher spent many hours washing cars to help the seniors in our community who may have been affected by COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas the City Council is so proud to have Joshua and Christopher as young leaders in our community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor, he said it, he was muted, and I, Councilman Josh Alton, do hereby proclaim today, Tuesday, July 21st, 2020, as Joshua and Christopher Sanchez Day in the city of Kennedale, Texas.
Joshua, Christopher, thank you. I know that whenever times always seem tough, I always know that there are young people like you that are going to take over for us, and our future's in good hands. So I certainly appreciate the work you did.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what we'll do is we'll get this framed, and the mayor and I will sign it, and we'll get it to you, okay?
Sure. Thank you.
In the meantime, we'll try to figure out a way to get all those wonderful items over to the senior center, and we really appreciate it. Y'all have a good baseball practice tonight, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks, Josh, for bringing that to our attention. That was good to know. Okay, so the next thing up is executive session and interviews. Is that correct, George?
That's correct, Mayor. We have a couple of items that Drew might address, and then we'll go into the interviews. So council and city secretary is already there, I guess.
I am going to have to see if Danielle can open it. It's not letting me open the meeting while this one's running under my name, even though it's a different account.
How do I start the meeting, Leslie?
I believe if you disconnect, you should be set as an alternative host on the other one. So if you go to your list of meetings, does it give you an option to start it?
I didn't see it in mine, but here, let me log out of this and I'll text you.
Do we need to discuss here before we go into that meeting, or?
I think Josh, the mayor, was going to discuss the process when you get into closed session.
Sorry for the issue.
Leslie, we'll need to actually leave this meeting then and log into the other one, right?
Yeah, I want to make sure Danielle can get it open first, though.
Chad, why don't you tell us all about your flying lesson, since we have nothing else to talk about right now?
Okay, so I'm learning to fly an airplane, and something I wanted to do my whole life. Like when I was a little kid, video games, that's all I played was flight simulator games. And, you know, it clearly runs in my family's history. You know, my granddad was a fighter pilot and all that good stuff. I can't hear you, Leslie. Oh, never mind. So I started taking flight lessons about a month ago. And actually was up yesterday and I'm up again tomorrow. Basically, I go twice a week. And, get to fly around a little Cessna 172. And yesterday was a fun day. So doing stall maneuvers, and just finished the stall maneuver, full throttle in the power back up, ready to go. And as I'm kind of pulling out of it to gain my altitude again, my instructor leans over and yanks the throttle out from underneath me. He goes, "Oh no, our engine just died." And he's like, "Figure it out." So, you know, do the whole pitch for glide slope, and it's like, we're actually flying over the best field for us to land in. And I just kind of went out and did a couple 360s down and got about 300 feet off the ground. And he goes, all right, you didn't kill us. Full throttle, take off, go around. So I was like, that'll make your.
I hated stall training. I hated stall training.
It's fun. I mean, the first time you do it, you're like, it's like roller coaster on steroids. So, especially when they go, all right, pick a spot. You don't have any more power. All you got is gravity and altitude. Go. And, just kind of getting your brain to think about the math involved of how far can I really float? How high am I? What's my glide ratio? And then not screwing up so you stall in the middle of not having power, because that's even worse. Or you stall into the turn, and that's when you do the spin out. So you don't want to do that either. It was fun. I didn't kill us yesterday.
That's good. Leslie, can we just take the two people that are not on council and that are here and put them in the waiting room so they can't hear the executive session?
I'm not sure. Is that something we can do, Drew?
Drew, you're muted, Drew.
R6, Drew.
Sorry about that. I'm okay with that, if that's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. You put them in the waiting room. They can't hear us. You could pause the recording and then start the recording again so that the executive session is in a separate recording.
I guess the question, Leslie, is do the applicants know how to
Oh, good point.
call into that? Then
Danielle was trying to set up a different meeting and then send the information to them and council, because I'm not sure what I did to make this not work correctly. But even though it's set up under a different account, it's saying we have a meeting running and it won't let us start the second one. So
one problem with having the public leave is they're not going to know when we're done.
Well, you can invite them back in when we're done.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, all you have to do is take them out of the waiting room. You take them out of the waiting room back into the meeting.
Oh, yeah, if there's a waiting room.
And there's a waiting
okay,
room.
let me look and see what I can do. I'm really sorry.
It's okay. I blame George. Wow. Leslie's becoming two people.
Yeah, Leslie's on there twice now.
It's almost schizophrenic when you look at it. It's weird.
Oh. All right, let me see.
This is like one of those internet tests, because in one of the screens, her sweater looks green, and in the other screen, her sweater looks gray.
It's green, so I don't know which one's right. Okay, I am able to put people in the waiting room. So is that the route we want to take on this?
I think that would work faster.
Okay, I'm gonna let Danielle know, and I am about to put Richard and then Carl Greer into the waiting room. 1 second.
I mean, otherwise, this is just like one of Chris's parties. People stand around nervously, not knowing what to say, waiting for it to end.
All right, and Leslie, you would know if somebody else called into this meeting then, correct?
Yes. So let me just let Danielle know.
Yeah, they would go straight into the waiting room, George.
Right.
And then what I would do is I'd make sure that you pause, stop the recording, and then restart it for the executive session.
Okay. As
So
soon as you recess to executive, I will pause it.
Right. Well, stop it, and then because I guess we don't need to record the executive
No.
session, do we? No.
And
No.
if I stop it, I can't restart it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right. Are we
Leslie,
good,
is
Drew?
there a way of notifying people who may be logging in after we have put other people in the waiting room? If somebody tries to get into the meeting, is there a way to communicate with them and tell them we're in executive session?
Yeah, she can chat with them. They can send a chat message.
Okay. Yeah, I'll chat to everyone in the waiting room and let them know.
Brian's been to the hospital a lot lately, so he knows a lot about the waiting room.
I didn't go to the hospital because I fell down.
You look like you're in a hospital bed right now.
I'm in a chair that overlooks this wonderful. See, I get to see that. See, you really can't see, but that's the green country.
Okay.
Because Leslie, now do the applicants have this number?
Danielle's sending it right now.
He just pinged on our email.
The mayor actually looks like Harry Carey.
Dead, and he was way older than me.
Define way.
Okay, you know what? That's just so rude.
Okay, Brian, are you prepared to recess or?
Yes, let's recess into executive session.
Okay. All right, now we gotta get our applicant to the right spot.
I just want to give everybody a heads up. We'll probably postpone the, I guess, Leslie, since you have postponed the YAC appointments, since they lowered the age, and Linda suggested we wait until we let everybody apply, so we'll postpone that until August for new applicants.
Mayor, could we approve those up to this point and then just allow those interested to apply and consider them at the next meeting? So that
Well, I would just postpone it because there's nothing pressing. I was talking to Leslie, nothing pressing is coming up. We'll just do it all in one fell swoop.
Okay.
Leslie, are they going to be able to just have some discussion before you bring an applicant in?
Yes, nobody can come into the meeting right now unless I actively admit them. So anything that you guys want to discuss now would be closed.
Okay, so what we'll do is that we're gonna come interview these three. You've seen some questions. We'll go around the room. Drew, would you briefly talk about what questions do not ask?
Yeah. Well,
We're taking a quick 5-minute break before they begin again.
No.
So we've let you in to wait in a different area now.
I'll just keep squeezing my brain.
Okay, it's a deal.
How much time did he take, Leslie? 5 minutes?
He said 5, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now we decide where dinner's going to be, right?
Right?
I'm in trouble. It was my wife's birthday today and I didn't get dinner. So
See you later.
Nice knowing you, Josh.
I thought I was doing good, but I guess not.
We are recording.
Leslie, I wonder why my mute button stuff has disappeared.
Oh,
The
you're
record,
not able to mute yourself?
There it is.
the
Okay.
record will show that Josh Altum forgot to buy dinner for his wife on her birthday.
Add it to the minutes.
Hello, Buzz. Josh, go under.
Looks like you're about to bust out some rhymes for us.
Who?
The mayor. Look at him.
Oh, I see him now.
Star 6, Brian.
Yes. I can't get my agenda to come up. Let's see, we're going to move. All right, so we're coming out of executive session. I don't believe there's any action to be taken out of executive session. So we'll move into the work session. And Leslie, do you have what's the first item up in the work session?
The recognition of the outgoing 2019 to 20 Youth Advisory Council members.
Would you like to do that for us?
Do that. What we got here? Okay. So this year was a little odd because of COVID. We didn't end up getting to meet as much as we would have liked to this spring, but I'm very grateful to our membership, which was led by Kayla Guevara, who is our chair and who is graduating, Quincy Martin, the vice chair, who is also graduating, Lucianne Williams, the secretary, who is also graduating, and then Alan Constantino, our historian, who, sorry, Lucy is not graduating. She's going to be a senior next year. So Lucy's not graduating, but Alan is graduating too. And then the rest of our membership was Allie Murphy, who will be a senior next year, Rhea Patel, who actually just graduated from Fort Worth Country Day, Ryan Roller, who's graduating, Libby Beck, who's graduating, Ella Bean, who will be a junior next year, Amaya Constantino, who will be a junior next year, Amber Guo, who is graduating this year, Bree Hull, who will be a senior next year, Grant McConnell, who graduated this year. He was a homeschool student, Julia McHugh, who is graduating this year, Luke Nyo, who will be a junior next year, Jaden Patel, who will be a sophomore at Fort Worth Country Day next year, Michelle Pham, who will be a senior next year, Preston Roller, who will be a sophomore next year, Christian Rockin, who will be a senior next year, and then Lily Reichlich, which I hope I said that right, who graduated this year. So I'm very grateful to all of them. I feel like we had a great year despite not getting to meet as much this spring, and I look forward to next year.
Well, we thank them all for their service. Sorry, like we said, we couldn't do more because of COVID, and we certainly appreciate those that are moving on, and I hope the ones that are still here will continue to serve.
Right, and I see a few of them on the call. I appreciate you all being here.
Yes, thank you all for doing what you guys do, and someday you'll be hopefully sitting in our seats.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go right ahead.
Whenever all this stuff passes, if we can, each council meeting, have one of them sit up there with us, and then the next month, another one, so they can kind of sit up there, have their own little nameplate and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we'll certainly see if we can get something like that accomplished. We have room.
We do like a yak of the month, maybe make them, and maybe they can select from their group. Maybe they can nominate who they want to rotate in and out, and something of that nature. I think it's a great idea.
All right. Well, thank you all. And so let's see what is next on our.
Let's see, what do we have next? And there was a discussion, if desired, of those who had applied for next year. I didn't know if any of you wanted to have a discussion regarding that or not.
Well, I think we talked about briefly that since we're changing the age requirement, and Linda suggested that we open this, wait until we get some more applicants since we changed it, that we'll just postpone that to the August meeting and appoint then.
Okay. And then the next was a discussion of a notification received from the TCEQ for an application for a type 4 permit major amendment by the Fort Worth C&D landfill. I believe Larry Hoover has some information on that.
All right, Larry.
All right. Well, we received notification from TCQ on the major amendment to the existing permit for on-site expansion of the landfill, which will add 4 million cubic yards of capacity in 7 years to the life of the landfill. That includes the site plan includes relocating the entrance and exit, which may help with some traffic issues. Once TCEQ reviews the application, they will issue a preliminary decision and notify us an opportunity to comment in the future. The primary problems the staff has with the landfill is the road deterioration from the heavy trucks, debris and mud on the roadway. The city currently receives 30 cents a ton for debris for road repairs for Dick Price Road. We would not expect an objection to this permit, but we are seeking concurrence from the council for items 1 through 4 listed in your staff report and any other comments from discussion that you may have.
Discussion. Josh, anything to say here? Josh?
Sorry, when she changed the screen, it screwed me up. I don't know. I mean, is that a low fee? Does that fee need to be changed? Is that something we can do? Because I do frequent that road quite often, and it's horrible. So is that something that we can look into, or something we can do, or?
That's something we intend to approach them on and have a discussion with them about, since they're adding life to the landfill, which is going to increase traffic and the effects of the heavy traffic and mud and debris on the roadway. I believe there needs to be some type of negotiation on either the fee or ramifications or improvements to their site, their entrances and exits, to prevent the mud and debris from leaving the site, and or the aesthetics, the looks of the landfill as you approach it and drive by it.
Well, is that something we need to do prior to approving this, or?
Well, right now, all we can do is review this. Once TCEQ administratively issues their comments on this, there'll be a period of time for the comments from all the surrounding neighbors of the property.
Okay. That's all I have. I mean, it's already there, and they need to expand, so I don't think it hurt anything. I'm just more concerned with what Larry has to say about the roadway and that fee.
I think what Larry's saying is we're asking if you all would concur with us approaching the company, trying to negotiate that and bring these issues up before the TCEQ actually asks for formal comments. And unless there's an objection, that's what we're proposing to do, is those things listed in your staff report.
Any comments, Chris?
I can barely hear them.
Any comments, Chris?
Okay, I'm like Josh. I agree with Josh about the road, so I won't go into that. I guess my other comment would be that although it has improved, the odor is sometimes really bad. And now we're talking about expanding it for another X number of years.
Chris, this landfill does not accept household waste. The odor you're getting is from the Fort Worth landfill that they have their entrance off of the service road of 20. This
Okay.
landfill only accepts brush and construction debris. So there is no odor
Okay.
from this landfill.
Okay. Well, then I guess my only concern would be what Josh already said, which is the deterioration and wear and tear on that road. And if we could get from that, maybe Brian can work with his county partnerships and try to get the county to help with the expense or whatever options out there might be available.
Sandra?
How much did we make off the landfill last year? Anyone know?
Hold on just a second. 2019, I believe we received $17,024.63.
Okay, thank you.
But he doesn't know exactly.
Linda?
Close enough, Larry, thank you.
All right.
No additional concerns. Agree with Larry to move forward with that.
Chad?
I guess, I'm on board with the 4 things you guys want to go to them with on, increasing the fee, because just thinking about $17,000 that we've collected in 1 year, I can't see exactly what the right of way that they have exclusive access to there, but I don't think in any shape, form, or fashion they're paying their fair share of what it's going to take to keep that road maintained. So when you go down that road, you go down it at your own risk, and I've gone to that dump a couple of times, and it's hell on your car. So, go after them.
Larry, if I remember, you were here at the time. That was a special agreement that we made with, I guess, the Progressive, or whatever they are now, was that they would share with us a percentage a certain amount per ton. And the idea was that we were going to use that amount of money to repave Dick Price Road, which I thought was around $800,000 or something like that. And we were going to use that money to pay for that road repair. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And where are we on that road payment that we've been paying on? Are we still paying?
I don't have that information. Perhaps Lakita could look that up at some point. I do know that we had the county out. We rebuilt the road shortly after this agreement. I do not know what percentage of that has been paid off from those payments from the landfill.
I could take a look at that, but I think you were off on the revenue. We budget for the landfill revenue to go into the capital projects fund to pay for certain debt service, whatever those projects were voted on at the time. But we budgeted $70,000 to be received over the course of the year for landfill revenue.
And we brought in how much?
We budgeted $70,000.
And how much did we bring in?
That's how much we're bringing in.
Okay.
Well, at that rate, Mayor, it would take 11 and a half years to pay for an $800,000 road.
Outside of interest and all that, yeah.
Sure. Has this agreement been in place for 11 years?
Larry, do you remember?
Let me see here.
Mayor, I'm going to suggest that we send you all an informal staff report on that revenue. I think this is the landfill. Larry can correct me if I'm wrong, that recently the company did an internal audit and determined that they had failed to escalate the payment to the city at some period, several years back. They brought it to our attention and paid us the amount they should have been paying over the years. It was a substantial amount of money that the company determined they had underpaid us, brought it to our attention and brought us a check. I think that check for the last several years was roughly $80,000 that they've recently paid us, but that was for over a period of 8 or 10 years. So I think we could maybe need to summarize all of that and make sure we're giving you the exact correct information. But the fee was 25 cents a ton, and they determined that they should have gone to 30 cents a ton. There wasn't anybody here at the city that was here at the time that contract was written, and changes had been made at the company as well. So they didn't know it, we didn't know it, but they determined that in an internal audit and paid us that. But I think I'd like to be sure we're giving you the right amount of revenue, even with that correction that was made, not just what the budgeted number was. So if you would give us let us this week send you an informal staff report giving you that information.
Mayor, this agreement was signed in 2007, and the number I stated was the refund or the payment for 2019 was $17,000. The total that they paid us was $88,000. That's what I have in my report here, was what they had paid us from the difference, not raising the fee like they should have from the audit George mentioned.
And Mayor, if you're looking at the amount budgeted, which was 70,000, that's what we were going to receive.
Okay.
Almost right on the nose, except for the 80,000 that we did receive. So right now, year to date, that puts us at 155,000. But that 80,000 is it's just a true up thing. It's not going to happen.
But,
like
the other question is how much is remaining on the debt for the improvements to that road?
Right, and that's what we would need to research.
Well, Mayor, if I'm hearing the consensus of the council is you're comfortable with us approaching the company about these issues before the TCEQ issues their preliminary administrative decision.
Did you lose the mayor?
I've lost the mayor.
Yeah, he's not here anymore.
Hope you got awful quiet, didn't it?
I assume we'll get him back, but Sandra, was that your understanding?
Yes.
Yeah, Sandra.
Yes, that was my understanding.
Yep.
That we go along with y'all plan.
Okay. You all want to proceed with Sandra chairing? And
Yes.
I don't have.
Do you have the agenda in front of you?
The next item is the discussion of the issues related to COVID, and I don't have anything to report on that.
George, I have a question.
All right.
Chief Brown, were you able to get any clarification on the first responder compensation related to the CARES funding yet?
It is still a question that is not 100% as to what the answer is.
That's what I figured, but I had to ask.
Chris, Danielle and I have been talking about that and reading the guidelines from the county, and it's a little bit inconsistent with what some of the staff at the county has told me. So I hope that we'll get a better clarification of that specific question just within a matter of days so that we can incorporate the appropriate amount into our budget for the CARES funding that we're trying to put the budget together for. Doesn't look like the mayor's coming back. Sandra, do you want to move on with the agenda, or let me try to call him?
We can move on. So we need to close out the work session and move into.
Well, unless there's any requests for clarifications on any other agenda items from council, we could then move into the regular session.
Do we have any other questions?
I do, Mayor Pro Tem. Regarding the, it has to do with the COVID and the CARES funding with the agenda item we have later for the ISD, the interlocal with the ISD. Just to clarify, maybe this is an attorney question, I don't know, but can we, the city, use that money for the school district? And then I guess the second part is, should we? I'm all for the education and getting those hot spots to those kids, but it's a matter of, can we do that? And should we use the money for that?
Let me give you some answer, and then Drew can certainly chime in. And I've had some discussion with the county officials about this concept and this plan. The school district has asked us if we would consider using some of our CARES funding for these hotspots to try to get it to students who need to be doing online virtual distance learning and have no access to the internet. The school district's problem is that if they were to receive some kind of allocation through TEA for CARES money, the state would then reduce their state funding in a like amount. So there's no benefit to the school district to accept that money as they understand the rules now. So they've asked us if we would consider doing it. The county has told me that that's a legitimate project. Obviously, the home and distance learning is okay. It's a very small amount of our total funding. So while we haven't totally identified the funding for the city's, the distribution that we got from the county of CARES money, this is a very small amount of that, and we certainly don't think is going to interfere at all with anything we would otherwise be doing with it. And they have indicated to me that it is a legitimate use. I have provided the draft of the ILA to the county. They're looking at it, they're aware of it. They have not indicated there's any problem with it at all. I have also provided it to the school district, who has told me that they have no recommended changes in the provisions of it. And we somewhat mirrored the county's ILA with us in determining what the requirements of the school district would be to account for that money. It can only be used for that purpose. The other thing I'd point out to you that I think is in the staff report is that we can only now fund those hotspots and the costs of them through the end of December, because we have to spend all of our money through the end of December. We have the costs to do it beyond that and for another 7 months, if in fact the guidelines of the Treasury Department and the county are modified so that we can use that money for projects going beyond December or past December 31st, which is a real possibility. So if we went to July of these hotspots, that would be another $7,000, which we might also recommend to you that we use some of our money for. And then one other thing, in addition to the hotspots that students would be benefiting from, we are also considering and planning. We now have some hotspots in our library that we use, but we're considering acquiring another 25 hotspots. There's 50 for the school. We're anticipating another 25 that we would contract with the vendor so that we could make those hotspots available to seniors or people looking for jobs or folks that are impacted negatively by COVID, that the city could use and issue and distribute, and we would pay for those also with our with our CARES money. So we're working on a contract for that now, very similar to what the school district would do but with a little different pricing because we can't get exactly the same pricing that the school does. But we expect to come forward to you if necessary with a contract to have some additional hotspots for our citizens other than students in the school district. So Linda, I hope that was a long answer to a short question, but appreciate it.
So George, are you saying that the school district is not asking for any of that 400 million that TEA has for hotspots at all?
I'm not, that 400 million what?
Funds that TEA has to provide for hotspots for.
I can't say they're not asking for any of it. What I know they've told me is that the direction they've gotten is that if they accept that money, that the state of Texas will essentially benefit from that rather than the school district. And we're trying to make sure that we use money that we haven't yet allocated for anything else to benefit our students here who need that access. And there's a short time frame. We're on a short string, or the school district is on a somewhat short string to get these hotspots ordered and in place so that they can distribute them. So what we're talking about doing in this agreement is to actually make a grant to the school district, but they have to use it for that purpose.
Okay.
George, I have a question.
All right, sir.
So are these, is this like unfettered internet access, or are they run through some kind of a filter, or how?
Yeah, there's probably
monitoring of those hotspots is out there.
Yeah, there's probably somebody, in fact, Amanda might be able to answer that better than I, but we've had a lot of discussion about that. And clearly the hotspots that will be provided to the school district, there is filtering that has to be applied to those hotspots. So they can't, and the guidelines are obviously the things you would expect are filtered out so the students wouldn't have access to some things. On the other hand, the ones we want to have would be for other people in the community, and we wouldn't want to restrict their ability to get to do job searches and to get on internet for a lot of things students wouldn't want to get on for. And in fact, we could have some free speech issues if in fact we tried to restrict those things. So it's two separate things we're dealing with. One is a set of hotspots for the school district, and we'll just grant them the funds to do that. And then we will contract for additional hotspots that we think we might need to accommodate the community and the people in need without the same filters.
So this might be a question for Drew. Maybe I'm going too far. Let's suppose someone uses one of these hotspots that the city has provided in a nefarious manner. Does that put us in a position of liability that we have given them a gateway to do something that could potentially be illegal or unethical that they accessed through a hotspot we paid for?
Well, for this particular agreement, we're not actually contracting for the hotspots, and we're providing the funds to the ISD, and those control measures need to be implemented by the ISD, and that's.
I guess I meant the ones that would be for the citizens to check out from the library.
So I guess I can chime in here, Chris.
Like if a guy goes and learns how to make a bomb and uses a website.
We're not responsible for that.
Yeah.
No, we aren't.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, so public libraries have protections for that. So basically, if somebody comes in and uses a public computer and a hotspot will be treated the same way, they have free speech ability to use the computer and stuff. They need to know that they're not going to be filtered. And that's basically what we do with the hotspots and stuff.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Fix that. Yeah, I think going back to Sandra's question is that part of the issue is that with TEA and the money they have, there's a time constraint on this. There are already backlogs, and so, and I think that once the grant is done, this is going to help some low-income students, especially they don't have Wi-Fi, even when they're at home doing regular schoolwork. But I think what the school would like to do, and I don't want to jump too far ahead of them, is apply for some of those other funds to augment what we're doing here to create other places for students to be able to get their work done. And for us, eventually, is that we have a lot of people in Kennedale that don't have Wi-Fi, and now they're going to be asked to work from home. There are a lot of cities that are doing this kind of Wi-Fi program.
I know we need to do something quick because Tarrant County just passed a order where all school will be virtual until September 28th, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that'll probably get extended after listening to the county.
Really?
Any other, George, when do you, and I may have missed out on this when my computer crashed, we've talked about COVID funding. You're building a list. I guess you have some general ideas of improvements with the senior center and other places, but you're still working on the complete list.
We did talk just a little bit, Brian, when we lost you, but we're working on the complete list. We've got a couple $100,000 probably worth of projects identified, but we still got some open questions about what part of public safety, medical service compensation can be paid for without those funds. But we're right now trying to put together the budget that we'll submit to the county. Again, it won't be absolute, but it'll be what our intended spending is, and then make regular reports to them. And as soon as we get some better answers on a couple of outstanding questions and identifying some projects, then we'll try to provide council with at least a preliminary report on what we're recommending our money be used for.
And I did ask, I just got the phone with Patricia Ward this afternoon to have a virtual mayor's council meeting in first Monday in August. And I want to have Russell Schaffner, their legislative liaison, come on and talk about COVID money, what we can use it for, what's the chance of being expanded. So keep an eye on that. And you can log in on that meeting. I guess it's probably a week from Monday.
Okay.
Okay. Leslie, I need to see what's next because all my computers are crashing.
I think going to the regular session is the next item.
All right, so let's go to the regular session, close out that work session, and then make note that everybody is here that was at the work session. So item number 1, I believe, is our Citizens Visitors Forum. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Do we have anybody who is wishing to speak?
Nobody I'm aware of. I don't see any hands raised and there's nothing in the chat.
All right, then we'll move on. Next item I'm going to guess is council announcements. I'm just guessing here. Council announcements. Josh.
I don't really have anything.
Well, you've got quite a mustache. That's something. Chris.
In case any of you haven't seen the new campaign that Mayor Price has kind of brought to Tarrant County, the Wear a Mask Y'all campaign, I sent some of that material to the city earlier this month. I was able to go to my employer and ask them to display the signage, which most of you know I work for Sewell. They're usually very brand protective, but the Sewells are also very supportive of the community. And so I was able, within an hour, to get the Sewells to approve for us to put that signage up. So I'm just throwing that out there for those of you that may know people who own businesses or own businesses yourself, to take a look at those resources and try to get that unified message out there so that all the cities are approaching as best we can how to deal with this. And I know there's lots of opinions about it, but I'm trying to support the county's efforts to do what little bit we can in the positions that we hold to try to help with the spread. So
Sandra. Sorry. Sandra.
I don't have anything.
Linda. I'm seeing something on a phone.
Linda, you're muted. Yeah.
There. Now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. I really don't have anything to report other than I have my 2 grandbabies. They are born and everybody's healthy.
That's excellent. Good news. Chad.
Been doing a little bit of help over at our community food bank. If anybody's interested, the Fort Worth Community Food Bank will donate to our town's food banks for exchange for hours of community service. So if you go over to the Fort Worth Community Service Food Bank Monday through Thursday, they're not open on Fridays, but if you go Monday through Thursday and put in 4 hours worth of work, they will load the back of your car up with groceries to bring back to our food bank. So if you guys have nothing else you have to do during a day and you're just like, I have to get out of the house, that's a great opportunity to, one, go get out of the house and then also be part of the community and help us to get these groceries for people that just don't have anything right now. We've literally, myself personally, we've already pulled over probably 2 tons worth of groceries. So if you got nothing better to do Monday through Thursday from 8 o'clock to noon, and it's only 4 short hours, 8 o'clock to noon, and they'll feed you lunch too. So come on over and help us.
Thank you, Chad. My announcement is that we've been having the COVID meetings every Wednesday, and it's they're concerned about the outbreak, and we've seen it expanding in Texas. So I just want to say that as government officials, I appreciate everybody being willing to meet by Zoom, because that's what they're asking people to do, is meet by Zoom, not meet in person. And remember, I try to tell people over and over again, it's not just social distancing. It's wear a mask, social distance, and wash your hands. It's not complicated, but we set the example, and I'm glad everybody's doing that. George, update.
Mayor, I don't have anything that we haven't already talked about.
All right, well, then I'm going to turn over to our finance director for exciting financial news.
I don't have a lot to update tonight. Everything looks normal for the month of June. We're, of course, keeping an eye on sales tax to see how COVID is possibly impacting that. At the end of June, we were about 75% into the fiscal year, and that is exactly how much sales tax we collected to date, 75%. So no cause for alarm there at this time. I looked back at this time last year, we had collected 85%. So we were about $20,000 off from what our projection, which is really not a big number. The only other thing that happened was we received the CARES funding from the county, and we created 2 new funds for the month of June. One was a disaster recovery fund in which we are segregating the CARES revenue and expenditures. And the other was a hotel motel tax revenue. So at the end of your city financials on page 6, you will see the creation of 2 special revenue funds, and that is where you can look every month to see progress there and what is coming in and what is going out of those 2 new funds. And so unless there's any other questions about any of the other EDC financials or any of the city financials, if you have questions, I can answer those for you.
Any questions for Lakita? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. These items have appeared on previous, require little no deliberation, consider routine, and discussion desired to remove for separate consideration. Keep in mind when you look at the case P&Z, the final plat, as long as the plat meets the subdivision requirements in the city code, we have no option but to approve it. That's a ministerial function. So looking at the consent agenda, does anybody want to remove anything off the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
I don't know who that was, but.
It was Linda.
Linda, all right. All right, Leslie, would you take the roll on that?
Leslie
Leslie?
is frozen
All right, well, I'll take the roll then.
and muted.
Josh Alton?
Yay.
Chris Pugh?
Yay.
Sandra Lee?
Yay.
Linda Rhodes?
Yay.
Chad Wandell.
Yay.
Motion passes unanimously. Next up, items for individual consideration. Item 1, appointment. I'll entertain a motion that we postpone that until the August meeting. The appointment after the discussion in executive session.
I'll make a motion per the executive session discussion that we postpone the judge appointment till our next monthly scheduled meeting.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Further discussion? If not, I'm going to call the roll. Josh?
Yay.
Chris?
Yay.
Sandra?
Yay.
Linda?
Yay.
Chad?
Yay.
Motion passes unanimously. Items 2 on consider approval ordinance 707, approving the age requirements for membership. Leslie, you want to give us a brief update?
Okay. The current age requirements are ages 15 through 19. And we've been observing the cutoff date is June 1st because that's when YAC terms begin. So that leaves some people unable to actually apply until their junior year. So we thought by lowering that age limit, we'd have more of a chance of having some 4-year members on YAC if they could apply as freshmen across the board. So staff is proposing to reduce that lower age limit to 13 by September 1st.
Any questions for Leslie? All right.
Leslie, would it benefit you if we did it by their grade versus their age so that you wouldn't have to change that? You could say if they're entering their freshman year, or I don't know if that's better or worse.
I don't know, Karen. Do you have any input on that?
I think it's up to the council what they want to do.
I think that dropping this age limit would accomplish what we're trying to do without having to bring this back at another meeting.
Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion on the approval of ordinance 707.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 707.
A motion by Sandra Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Josh.
Chad, right?
Chad, sorry, I'm looking at my agenda, not the screen. All right, thanks, Chad. All right, so Leslie, will you call the roll for a vote?
Okay, Josh Altum,
Yay.
Chris Pugh,
Yay.
Mayor Pro Tem Lee,
Yay.
Linda Rhodes,
Yay.
and Chad Wandell.
Yay.
Motion passes unanimously. All right. So consider making appointments. As we had said earlier, Linda suggested that since we're changing the age requirements, let's give them a little bit more time. I'll entertain a motion to postpone this until our next meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone the YAC appointments until the next council meeting.
Motion by Rhodes. Do I have a second? Second by somebody. I'm not going to guess this time.
Josh.
Josh, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, Leslie, would you take the?
Josh Altum,
Yay.
Chris Pugh,
Yay.
Mayor Pro Tem Lee,
Yay.
Linda Rhodes,
Yay.
and Chad Wandell.
Yay.
Passes unanimously.
All right, that brings us to item 4, interlocal agreement with KISD to providing a grant for them to purchase wireless hotspots for the kids that don't have Wi-Fi. I think we just got through talking about this. I'll entertain a motion here on the interlocal agreement.
Mayor,
I'd like to make a motion to, I'd like to make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with the ISD.
Do I have a second?
Mayor, could we incorporate the amount in that since it wasn't in your packet? The
All right.
amount would be $5,000.
All right, there's, Linda, you want to just sort of amend your motion there, rephrase it?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with the KISD regarding the grant for the purchase of wireless hotspots to benefit KISD students in the dollar amount of $5,000.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Wait, Wait. Was that Chris? Sandra? Okay, Sandra seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor, should we put in there, do we need to add anything about pursuant to the county or the treasury not having an issue with that, since George said we're still waiting on a little clarification?
No, I think he's waiting on clarification on how far we can go. I think we're clear on this, aren't we, George?
We are on this, and if we get that relief and can go further than that, we'll bring an amendment to this back to you if that's okay.
Thank you.
All right, Leslie, will you call for the vote?
Josh Altham,
Yay.
Chris Pugh,
Yay.
Mayor Pro Tem Lee,
Yay.
Linda Rhodes,
Yay.
Chad Wendell.
Yay.
Passes unanimously.
All right, so George, I have here public hearings. Do we have a public hearing on something?
No, ma'am. No, sir, we do not.
No, ma'am. Okay, good. You haven't seen me in a while. Since there's no other items on the agenda, since nothing out of executive session, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Hold on a sec. Was Carl not going to present his plat? I guess I missed that.
No, remember the plat is just simply a ministerial function. As long as it meets the requirements and of the subdivision code, you have no choice but to approve it.
I think you have a copy of the plat in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
No, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to talk to him, and I talked to him the other day and give an update on that property and why it was at a standstill. But
It's not at a standstill. The public infrastructure is almost complete. So the next step would be for them to submit their building permits.
well, when I spoke to him, he said they're waiting on an Encore, and they submitted an application to Encore in June, and so that's kind of the holdup. So anyway, thank you for addressing that. Appreciate it.
All right. So do we have, I believe we have a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll second.
And then,
Chad
Leslie?
already seconded, so I'm gonna stick with Chad on the second. That's okay with everyone. All right, so Josh Altham,
Yay.
Chris Pugh,
Yay.
Mayor Pro Tem Lee,
Yay.
Linda Rhodes,
Yay.
Chad Wendell.
Yay.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.